Prudent Scholars in association with Goa Headmasters Association.
Hello and welcome. As a child, I often wonder who has made these laws or how these laws have been made, until I learned that these laws are enacted by an elected body known as Legislature. So, in today's lesson, we are going to learn about the chapter Union Legislature from the political science. In this lesson, we are going to cover the following points. First, we are going to see the meaning of the word legislature. Then, we are going to learn about two models of legislative structure. The powers of the president, we are going to focus on the legislative powers of the president. The composition of both the houses of parliament, the Rajya Sabha as well as the Lok Sabha. Then, we are going to see what are the qualifications required to be the member of parliament, and then we are going to learn about the election process. So, let us begin with the meaning of the word legislature. Now, this word legislature, it is a Latin word, it has derived from Latin word lex. So, it means a distinct kind of legal rule, mainly of general application. Now, to make laws, this process of making laws is known as legislation, and an institution that enacts laws on the behalf of the people is known as legislature. In India, the legislature is known as parliament or Sansad. There are two models of legislative structure. One is parliamentary model, other one is presidential model. In the parliamentary model, the executive is selected from among the legislature. Hence, the executive is answerable to the legislature. So, the citizens of any country, they elect the legislature, means they elect their representatives who forms the legislature. Now, this legislature, they in return elect the executive, means they elect the ministers who makes the executive. Hence, these executives, they are responsible to the legislature. In the presidential form of democracy, the citizens, they elect both executive as well as legislature. Because this system of democracy, the presidential system, is based on separation of powers, where no person is allowed to serve in both the houses, the legislature as well as executive. According to Article 79 of the Constitution of India, the Parliament of India consists of the President of India, the Lok Sabha or the lower house, and the Rajya Sabha, which is known as the upper house. The President of India, now in the American President, he is not the member of legislature. Just now we have seen, in a presidential form of democracy, people elect executive and legislature separately. So, the President of India is a part of executive. He is not a member of legislature. On the other hand, the President of India, he is an integral part of the parliament. However, he cannot sit and deliberate and participate in the deliberation of the two houses. Let us focus on the powers of the president. We are going to deal here only with the legislative power. Now, the president, he can summon the house of the parliament, means he can call the meeting of the house of the parliament. That is called as the summoning the house. he can prorogue the house. Prorogue the meeting means he can stop any meeting without dissolving it. That is called as the proroguing the house. Then he can dissolve the Lok Sabha. Now the president has the power to dissolve the Lok Sabha. Usually Lok Sabha is dissolved after completion of its term, that is after 5 years. But a president can dissolve Lok Sabha before completion of 5 years. Okay. He can summon a joint meeting of both the houses. Now what is this joint meeting? Suppose the two houses of parliament, the Lok Sabha as well as Rajya Sabha, any decision has to be made unanimously, jointly, that in that case the president will call a meeting of both the houses where the members of parliament from Lok Sabha as well as Rajya Sabha will sit together and they will take the decision on that particular issue. He can appoint any member of the Lok Sabha to preside over its proceedings. In case the office of the speaker, who is the chairperson of Lok Sabha, a speaker or the deputy speaker, their office fall vacant. Means the speaker is going to preside over the proceedings of the Lok Sabha. In his absence, the deputy speaker is going to preside. But in case there is a deputy speaker is also absent, then any one person from the Lok Sabha, any member from the Lok Sabha will be appointed by the president to look after the working of the house. Similarly, in case of Rajya Sabha, if suppose the office of the chairperson and the deputy chairperson fall vacant, in that case the president may appoint any member of Rajya Sabha to preside over the proceeding. There are two kinds of members in parliament, the elected members and the nominated member. Now president can nominate 12 members to the Rajya Sabha. Now these 12 members are from different sectors. They are those people who have thorough knowledge of their area, of their subject, like literature, science, art, culture, social service, etc. In Lok Sabha, president can appoint 2 members. Now these 2 members are from Anglo-Indian community. Now who are these people known as Anglo-Indian community? We all know that we were being ruled by British for around more than 150 years. And many of the British people have settled down in India. Now those people whose ancestor, or we call them a male progenitor, was from Britain and who is staying in India, their children are known as Anglo-Indian. So if there is no representation of this community in the Lok Sabha, then the president may nominate 2 members from this community in the Lok Sabha. Now with regard to the disqualification of member, the president takes the decision regarding the disqualification of any member in consultation with the Election Commission of India. Now his prior permission or his prior recommendation is required to introduce certain kinds of bills. Okay. Now there are 2 kinds of bill where the prior permission of the president is required. The one bill is the bill involving expenditure from the Consolidated Fund of India. Now what is this Consolidated Fund? Consolidated Fund means the expenses that are being made from a fund which involves the revenue that was collected from the people by the government. Okay, that is then a Consolidated Fund of India. So any expenditure, if it has to be incurred from this fund, then that before introducing that bill, a prior permission of the president is required. The next thing, a bill for the alteration of boundaries of a state or creation of a new state. If the House wants to divide a state into two states, or they want to create one more state, in that regard they need to take the permission of the president. You must have heard about the division of the state of Jammu and Kashmir. Recently the state of Jammu and Kashmir has been divided into two union territories, the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir and another is the Union Territory of Ladakh. Now to do so, the prior permission of the president is required. Now any bill that has to be it has to be passed. Now let us see what is this bill. It is not the bill that we get from a restaurant or when we purchase something. The bill is a draft of a law. Okay. Whenever a house of a parliament, or we call it a legislature, they wants to form a law, when it is it is in a draft form, it is called as a bill. Now this bill, it is introduced in one house of parliament, whether it is Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. Then this bill, the first thing is called as the reading of the bill, then there are some discussion, and then that bill is after it is passed in the originating house, it is sent to another house. Suppose a bill is passed in the Lok Sabha, then it is sent to the Rajya Sabha. The Rajya Sabha will discuss on that bill, they will pass the bill, they will suggest some changes, we call it amendments, and then the bill will be sent to the originating house again, and after that the bill will be sent to the president for his assent. Assent means president will sign on that bill, he will give his permission, and after that, that bill will become a law. Now when a bill comes to the president, there are three options before the president. First, he can give his assent, he can sign that bill and that bill will become a law. Second one option is he can withhold that bill, means he can refuse to sign that bill. And third option is that he can return the bill to the originating house for reconsideration. Now the bill will be returned back and president will give his remark that please reconsider the bill, so that the parliament will start discussion again and they will follow the same procedure and the bill will come to the president second time. Now here there is one bracket, there is if it is not a money bill. Now what is this? Now we have seen in the previous slide that if a bill that has to be passed which incurred some expenditure, then that bill has that at the time before introducing that bill, the prior permission of president is required. Now if president has given the permission, he cannot refuse that bill. So if it is a money bill, president will not refuse, he has to give its assent. But if it is an ordinary bill, then president may refuse to sign on that bill may be sent back to the parliament, the house from it where it is originated. Now however, if the bill is passed again, now the either of the house, they will follow the same procedure, they will there will be discussion, deliberation on the bill will be sent on the second house, they will do the discussion, they may suggest some amendments, and after abiding by those amendments, after making required changes or not making any changes, the bill will be sent to the president for the second time. Now this time the president has no veto power, he has to give his assent to the bill. Okay? When the bill comes second time to the president cannot withhold the bill, he has to give assent to the bill. Now there are, with regard to the constitution, there are constitutional amendment bill. Now what is this constitutional amendment bills? That some members of the parliament, they suggest some changes in the constitution. There are certain articles in the constitution which need to be changes. You must have heard that recently article 370, which gave Jammu and Kashmir a special right, a special privilege, that has been abandoned, that has been removed from the constitution. Now to do after taking decision on such bills, that bill comes to the president and president has no veto power, he has to give his assent on that bill. Now there are certain bills on which the president enjoys absolute veto power. Now what are these bills where the president enjoys absolute veto powers? So suppose a bill that has been passed in a state legislature, and that bill is reserved by the governor of that state for the the consideration of the president. Now that bill is sent to the president for his assent. Now president have three options here. One, he can give his assent to the bill, he can sign that bill. Second one, he can withhold his assent to the bill. And third option, that he can direct the governor to return the bill. And here also, if it is not the money bill, then only he can return the bill. If it is a money bill, then governor must have given his approval and it cannot be rejected. Now if it is not a money bill, then he can direct the governor to send that bill for reconsideration of the state legislature. Now here, after doing that, again if that bill is passed and it went to the president for its assent, the president can again refuse to give his assent. Okay, he can again say no to the bill. Thus he enjoys absolute veto power over the state bills. The president, he can promulgate ordinances when the parliament is not in session. Now what is this ordinances? Ordinances means the rules that have been made by the president when the parliament is not in session. Now these ordinances, they must be approved by the parliament after its assembly before the completion of 6 weeks. Within the 6 weeks, the parliament has to approve these ordinances. Now the president, he can also withdraw any of these ordinances at any time. Okay. Now there are certain institutions like the Controller and Auditor General, then Union Public Service Commission, we call it UPSC, or the Finance Commission. Now their reports, the annual reports, are laid by the president before the parliament. These are the legislative powers of the president. Let us now focus on the Rajya Sabha. Let us see the composition of Rajya Sabha. This is how the Rajya Sabha looks like. The total actual strength of the Rajya Sabha is 245. These dots represents the people, okay, who belongs to different political parties. Now the composition of Rajya Sabha. Rajya Sabha, it is also known as the upper house of parliament or the council of states, because Rajya Sabha represents the states of Indian Union. It is a permanent body because it cannot be dissolved. Okay. The membership of Rajya Sabha, it cannot exceed 250 members. That is the maximum permissible membership of Rajya Sabha. At present, it is 245. Out of these, 12 members are appointed by the president on the basis of their excellence in literature, science, art, social service, and rest all are elected. Now how the Rajya Sabha members are elected? Unlike Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha adopts the method of indirect election. Now in Lok Sabha, the common people, the citizens of the state, they elect the Lok Sabha members. On the other hand, the Rajya Sabha members, they are elected indirectly. Now who elects them? The elected members of state legislative assembly. We call them the MLAs. Okay, the member of legislative assembly. These members of legislative assembly, who are the elected representatives of the people, they elect the members of Rajya Sabha, and they elect them on the basis of proportional representation through the single transferable vote system. This is also known as the STV, single transferable vote system. In this system, when they elect someone, when they cast their vote, there is a list of the candidates are provided, and the person who is going to cast vote, they do not tick on any one person. In fact, they give a ranking to them. Okay, as per their interest, they mark 1, 2, 3, 4 and so on. So a person who is most favored by maximum people in that house is considered to be elected. Okay. Now, for the purpose of the election, each state is allotted a number of constituencies or number of seats, mainly on the basis of population. Means a state which is having more population, most populous state will send more people to the Rajya Sabha, and the states which is having smaller number of lesser population will send less number of people to the Rajya Sabha. For example, Maharashtra sends 19 members to the Rajya Sabha. On the other hand, Goa sends only one person to the Rajya Sabha. Now, what are the qualifications to be the member of Rajya Sabha? Article 84 of the Constitution, it lays down certain qualification to be the member of Parliament. As a whole, a person who wants to be a member of Parliament should fulfill these qualifications. The first and foremost qualification is that the person must be a citizen of India. No alien, okay, can contest election on any of the post of a representative of the people. So he must be a citizen of India. That is the first and foremost condition. He must not be less than 30 years of age. The age qualification is that person must be at least 30 years of age. Then he must possess such other qualification as may prescribed by the Parliament. Parliament may give a certain other qualification which have to be, he has to fulfill those qualifications. Now, when a person is disqualified as the member of Parliament, what are the norms that are, for the disqualification of the MP? That Article 102 of the Constitution lays down that a person shall be disqualified as a member of either house of the Parliament. He may be disqualified as a MP from Lok Sabha or from Rajya Sabha if he holds, the first thing is that if he holds an office of profit. Now, what is this office of profit? Office of profit means if any person, any individual, if he is employed or appointed by the government of India or the government of any of the Indian state and who gets a salary or allowances or any monetary benefit from the government, that person is considered to be holding a office of profit. Now, person having this office of profit will be disqualified. Second thing, if he is of an unsound mind and stands so declared by a competent court. What is this unsound mind? Unsound mind means a person who is mentally unbalanced or is mentally not well. That person is considered to be of unsound mind. If he is an undischarged insolvent. Now, what is this undischarged insolvent? If a person, if any individual has, taken loan from someone, he has taken a debt from someone and he is not able to repay it. Okay, that person is considered to be bankrupt. So this person is called as a undischarged insolvent. Now, and the most important thing here is that if that person who has been elected as the member of Parliament and he is not a citizen of India or he has acquired citizenship of any other country, that person will be disqualified. Suppose tomorrow, our very favorite hero Akshay Kumar, if he has contested election as a member of Parliament, he will be disqualified. You know why? Because he has obtained citizenship of a foreign country called as Canada. No foreign individual who is a citizen of any other country, because in India we do not support dual citizenship. So a person who has acquired citizenship of any other foreign state he will lose his citizenship of India. Now, what is the tenure of a members of Rajya Sabha? You know that Rajya Sabha is a permanent body, it cannot be dissolved, but a member who is elected as a member of parliament in the Rajya Sabha will serve the Rajya Sabha for a period of 6 years. And out of all the 250 members, one-third members will be retired after every 2 years. Means out of this 250, one-third, means around 82 people, they will retire after every 2 years, and in their place new members will be elected. Now, if a member elected on a mid-term vacancy, what is this mid-term vacancy? Suppose a person who is an individual who is a member of parliament in the Rajya Sabha, if he dies or if he resigns from his post, now in his place a new member will be elected. Now that new member will not serve the Rajya Sabha for entire 6 years because he has been elected on a mid-term vacancy. So a person who was serving on that post earlier, if that person had served for 4 years, the new person will get only remaining 2 years. Okay. Now this system of election, it ensures continuity in the working of Rajya Sabha. So members are retired, and on their place new members are elected. A member who has retired from Rajya Sabha may contest election again. Now let us see who are the officials of Rajya Sabha. There is a chairman and there is a deputy chairman. Now the Vice President of India is a ex officio chairman of Rajya Sabha. He is not a member of Rajya Sabha. He is not among the Rajya Sabha members, but he is elected just the people, elected by electoral college, they say. Means all the elected members, they elect the President of India and the Vice President of India. So both these, President as well as Vice President, they are not the member of either of the houses. So the Vice President of India is an ex officio chairman of Rajya Sabha. He is going to preside over the Rajya Sabha, but he is not a member of Rajya Sabha. On the other hand, the deputy chairperson is elected among the members of the Rajya Sabha. The Rajya Sabha members will elect one individual from among themselves on the post of deputy chairperson. The chairperson is going to preside over the proceedings of Rajya Sabha. In his absence, the deputy chairperson will preside over the proceedings. The chairman, the vice president, he can only be removed. Now how a chairperson can be removed? He can only be removed from his office by a resolution that has been passed in the Rajya Sabha. So Rajya Sabha members have to pass a resolution with a majority, and it has to be agreed by the Lok Sabha also. So this is very difficult task, to remove a chairperson. On the other hand, the deputy chairperson, who is a member of Rajya Sabha, he can be removed by a resolution passed in the Rajya Sabha. Okay. Now, as the vice president is an ex officio chairman, he is not a member of Rajya Sabha, he is not normally entitled to vote. He cannot vote in the Rajya Sabha. But he can vote only if there is a tie. Now what is this tie? Tie means a situation in which there are equal vote cast in favor and against a bill or resolution. If the votes are equal on both the sides, then the chairperson, he can cast his vote to break that tie. Okay, he can cast either in favor or against that resolution. Now let us see the Lok Sabha. This is how the Lok Sabha looks like. Now here, this is the strength of the Lok Sabha, 543. You can see the orange dots. Okay, these are the members of ruling party. Now here in Lok Sabha, the party which gets majority will rule. Okay, it will be the ruling party. So in this scenario, you will see that the orange dots are occupying maximum seats in the Lok Sabha. So they are the members of ruling party. Now, who elects the members of Lok Sabha? The Lok Sabha, which is also called as the popular house, or it is a lower house of the parliament. It is elected directly by the people on the basis of universal adult franchise. Now, what is this universal adult franchise? Means any citizen, irrespective of any caste, any creed, any gender, any economic or social status, he is entitled to vote. So all the citizens of 18 years of age and above are entitled to vote in the election for Lok Sabha, subject to the laws made by the parliament. So unlike Rajya Sabha, Lok Sabha is not a permanent body. It has a specific period, duration, and the tenure, it is called as the tenure of Lok Sabha, is of 5 years. Now, what is the composition of Lok Sabha? The maximum permissible membership of Lok Sabha is 550. So it cannot exceed 550. Only 2 members are added, in case the Anglo-Indian community is not represented. Out of this 550, the 530 members are directly elected from the states. 20 members are elected from the union territories. And beside this, President can nominate 2 members from Anglo-Indian community if it thinks that they are not adequately represented. Now, let us see the actual strength of Lok Sabha. It is 543. Out of these 543, 530 members are elected from the states. 13 members are elected from the union territories. And if President nominates 2 members from Anglo-Indian community, the strength of the Lok Sabha will be 545. Now, there are reservation of seats. Now, we must have learnt last year that what is a reservation? Reservation means a certain seats are reserved for a particular category of the people. On those seats, no other people from any other category can contest election. Now here, certain number of seats have been reserved for scheduled caste and scheduled tribes. Only in Lok Sabha, the reservation applies only in Lok Sabha. So now, here out of 543 seats, 84 seats are reserved for scheduled caste. Now the person belonging to scheduled caste can contest election in these 84 seats which have been reserved only for the scheduled caste community. No person from any other community can contest election in these seats. The 47 seats are reserved for scheduled tribes. It means that in these 47 seats, only persons, individuals belonging to scheduled tribe will contest election. Now, the territorial representation. The representation to the Lok Sabha is based on the population. Means a state which is having more population will send more members to the Lok Sabha. Like Uttar Pradesh, which is the most populated state in India, it will send as many as 80 members to the Lok Sabha. While the smaller state like Mizoram, Nagaland, Sikkim, and they send 1 representative each to the Lok Sabha. Do you know how many members are sent by the Goa to the Lok Sabha? Yes, there are 2 members which represents Goa in the Lok Sabha. What are the qualifications and disqualification to be the member of Parliament with regard to Lok Sabha? Now, all the qualification and disqualification which have been mentioned about in regard to Rajya Sabha, they applies here to Lok Sabha also. However, there are few differences. Okay, let us see which are those. To become a member of Lok Sabha, the first and foremost thing required is that person should be the citizen of India. He must be the citizen of India. Okay. Then he should not hold any office of profit. These qualifications are common everywhere. Now with regard to the age, a person who has completed 25 years of age can be the member of parliament in Lok Sabha. In Rajya Sabha it is 30 years. He must complete 30 years. With regard to Lok Sabha, he must complete 25 years. Now, a person contesting from a reserved seat should belong to the scheduled caste or scheduled tribe, because only these two communities, the seats are reserved for only the two communities. Okay. So, if a person wants to contest from a reserved category, he must belong to that category. Okay. No other person from any other category can contest election there. No person can be member of both houses of parliament, means no person can be member of Lok Sabha as well as Rajya Sabha, and even no person could be a member of a parliament as well as a state legislature. And if a person who has contested from several seats, there are some people who contest from more than one seat, from 2 seats or 3 seats, and they get elected from all these seats. So in that case, that person has to vacate all the seats except one. They cannot represent more than one seat. So they have to vacate other seats, they have to keep one seat. Now suppose a person who is a member of parliament and he has also applied for the membership of a state legislature and he has won both the seats. Now he has to resign from one seat. He has to vacate one seat and retain one. Now in case that person, that individual, he does not resign his state legislature, a membership of state legislature, then he will forfeit his seat in the parliament. His seat in the parliament will be, it will be cancelled. Now what is the tenure of the Lok Sabha? Each member elected in the Lok Sabha will serve for 5 years. That is, and overall the tenure of Lok Sabha, the house of Lok Sabha, is also 5 years. Means after every 5 years the Lok Sabha will be dissolved and a new election will be held, a fresh election will be held, and new Lok Sabha will be elected, it will be constituted. But now here the president may dissolve the Lok Sabha before the expiry of the term. Before finishing the 5 years term, the president may dissolve the Lok Sabha. Okay. Now this has happened in the year, in the year 1998, the Lok Sabha was elected, and in the year 1999 it was dissolved. So this can happen. There are certain instances when the duration of the Lok Sabha is extended. Okay, the tenure is extended. The term can be extended 1 year at a time, and this has happened in the year 1976 when there was an ongoing emergency in the state of India during the tenure of Mrs. Indira Gandhi as the Prime Minister of India. At that time, the tenure of Lok Sabha, the term of Lok Sabha was extended for a year. Okay, but it will not exceed 6 months after the emergency is over. If the term of Lok Sabha is extended due to emergency, state emergency, then, or we call it a national emergency, then after the end of the emergency, within a period of 6 months, there should be an election. It cannot continue beyond 6 months. Now, who are the officials of Lok Sabha? Okay. The speaker, who is elected from among the members of Lok Sabha, he presides over the Lok Sabha. He is elected by the members of Lok Sabha. Now he remains in his office even after Lok Sabha is dissolved, because he has to remain in the office till the new house elects a new speaker. Then only he will hand over the charge and he will leave his office. Now in his absence, a deputy speaker is going to preside over the meeting. And we all know that if deputy speaker is also not there, that in that case the president will appoint one person from the from the Lok Sabha to preside over the session of the Parliament in Lok Sabha. Once elected to the office, the speaker, he has to sever his party affiliation. Now what is this party affiliation? To sever the party affiliation means he has to cut off the relationship with his party. Now when he is elected as the Speaker of the House, it means he has to safeguard the interest of all the members of the House. He cannot be biased towards one particular party. No, he has to start functioning in an impartial manner. Okay. Now, how a speaker can be removed from his office? So both the speaker as well as deputy speaker, they are elected among the members of the Lok Sabha, so they can be removed from the office by a resolution passed by a majority of the members. If majority of the members are in favor of removing the speaker or the deputy speaker, he has to leave his office. Now let us see the distinguish between Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. What are the points of differences between Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha? The members of the Lok Sabha are directly elected. We have seen they are directly elected by the people. On the other hand, the members of Rajya Sabha, they are elected by the elected members of State Legislative Assembly. We call them the MLAs. The period of Lok Sabha is 5 years. The term of Lok Sabha is 5 years. On the other hand, the Rajya Sabha is a permanent body. It cannot be dissolved. But its member retire after every 2 years. Okay. The maximum strength of Lok Sabha is 552. On the other hand, the maximum strength of Rajya Sabha is 250. Money bills can only be introduced in Lok Sabha. Okay. Money bills can never be introduced in Rajya Sabha. Okay. It can only be introduced in Lok Sabha. On the other hand, the Rajya Sabha does not have any power to introduce money bills. The Lok Sabha is more powerful than the Rajya Sabha. So before winding up, let us see which are the points that we have covered in this lesson, in this session. We have seen the meaning of the term legislature. We have seen the two models of legislative structure, the parliamentary model and the presidential model. We have seen the powers of the President of India with regard to the legislative power. We have seen the composition of Lok Sabha as well as Rajya Sabha. Then the membership, the qualification required to be the member of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. And last we have seen the election procedure to elect the members of Parliament. Thank you.